Now Mike has swum the channel 33 times. 30 times from England to France, which I can assure you is the hard way, and then the easy way, everyone knows the easy way, 3 times in the other direction. And that's why he is now confirmed as the king of the channel. And he's been long distance swimming since 1960s. And why does he keep doing it? Well, I know the salt water creeps through the skin into the blood, and it turns there. And they keep on doing it. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Reid, Mike Reid, king of the channel.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for staying. How do I follow Derek's presentation? All I can tell you is that on Valentine's Day, I spent Valentine's Day in a sarcophagus in Luxor. Oh. So I shall never forget that. It was Ramses the IX or something quite fascinating. Yeah, that's the best I can do on churches for you at the moment. I'm in the quandary. I don't want to turn the lights off because people go to sleep and then I can't pick on them. So be warned, if I see an eye that's sort of twitching, you can rest assured I shall ask you a question. I don't like it when I do all the talking, and if you do want to ask me a question, yes, I'll answer it if I'm not covering it. If I am covering it later, I'll say, bear with me a little bit. Right, okay, you all know this guy, Captain Webb, 1875, and it was interesting, I was talking to Terry just a short while ago, and he made the comment that he asked me how many people swam last year, and we had, I think it was 69 swims or 70 swims last year, successful, and it was 100 years before we had our 70th swim since Captain Webb. So it was well, in fact it was more than those. It was 100 and the brains of one numb. Yes, 100 years. 1875, about 1975. Because if you look at one of my first ones, it was number 45, believe it or not. This is the course. Everybody imagines it's going to be straight across, but it's not. It's in an S or a Z. And this was one of the swims I did, where I was here all the way over to Weasel there, and then I got halfway back to the barn, and that was on a double attempt, which was unsuccessful. I probably got caught in the middle in fog or something like that, and had to give up. But that was perhaps probably the only one I ever did. A nice one there, landing straight on the cape, which is the way you're supposed to do it. And if you're fast, you can usually get from Dover straight to the cape. Terry said that I'd done it 30 times the difficult way. Why is it difficult? The answer is that you're starting in Dover, and you're aiming for this point. And if you miss that point, this goes way all the way down to Spain, basically. And also, if you notice it, this goes in. The coast goes in there and then comes back out again. And also, because we talked about tides just then, when you get 3 miles, the 3 mile buoy here, you usually meet the flood, the ebb tide going back up to London. And of course, it's come along here and hit this wall of France, and it's got nowhere to go. So it has to push itself round. And when you are there, and they've said, oh, you've only got 3 miles to go, 2 hours will do it nicely, you then swim your guts out for an hour, and instead of ending up here, you actually end up there. And then you look at that to there, and when you were 3 miles from the shore at 12 hours, you are suddenly 5 miles from the shore at 13. Very depressing. And those are the sort of things that kill a channel swim. Okay, this is a lovely view of the harbour. In my day, and my first swims were in 1969, 1970s, we actually had to go to the white building there, to the customs house, and go and see the receiver of wrecks. Most appropriate, the receiver of wrecks always needed to know where you were going and why you were going.
That was Derek Leach.
Well, he was a customer.
Yeah.
Oh, he could well have been the chap who stopped me on one occasion and held me up at customs for about 2 hours. It's a shame he wasn't here to answer for that. So the first thing we as swimmers actually had to go there and sign in and what have you. And it's strange because today we still have to report to the Coast Guard and immigration, etc. Immigration. You'd think they'd be glad to get rid of us. But there it is. There's a watchful eye. Well, you'll all be familiar with what used to be the Churchill Hotel, and this talk is all higgledy-piggledy, so forgive me for that. I think we're going to talk about accommodation is the first thing that you need when you come down to Dover, so wherever you were. And when I did my first swims, I was in Edinburgh. So you got the call in the afternoon if you were lucky, and I had to get down to Dover very quickly. And I was very lucky because, bless their hearts, British Airways gave me some open tickets from Turnhouse. And I would whiz off down to Turnhouse in Edinburgh and get down to Heathrow and then make my way down. And then I needed accommodation. Well, if you're well heeled, you would go to the Churchill. Or you might go to one of the local guest houses that these days do a very good trade from channel swimming. It's worth mentioning to you all here.
Gone on for much longer. I'm afraid I'm sorry I had to bring Mike to a halt because his yarns are so interesting. I won't tell you the story about what happened with Rosemary George and the grease I put on her. It was very embarrassing and all my journalistic friends just stood there and laughed while I had to do it.
How important did you find the need to swim on a neat tide? Did you always swim on a neat tide?
Not always, but it is terribly important because the difference is that you swim literally in the most gentle of S if you go on a neat tide, whereas you could have a huge Z. Well, in fact, the difference is if you put a cork in the water, it'll go 12 miles in each direction on neat tide. It could go 24 miles in a spring tide. So you get a huge Z. And when you get to France, that current is 4 knots. Yeah. And I can only swim at 3, if I'm fit.
If anybody else has got any questions, I'm sure Mike would be delighted to tell you afterwards. So, could please give our thanks to Mike.